They are. They're more complex characters.
I mean, if you think of, I don't know, Dallas, who are you interested in? JR? Sorry, none of you know what Dallas is.
I know what Dallas is.
Sorry. The interesting characters are the flawed ones. Whoever it was that died and wasn't dead in Dallas.
Bobby
Ewing. Thank God you're all here. Bobby Ewing is a rather dull character. But JR is interesting. So I played all those, on the spectrum of vile to not very nice, an awful lot of those kind of characters, and loved doing it. And in the theatre too, I was cast to those kind of characters. And then along came Doctor Who, and flipped it on its head, and suddenly, but they made me be a bit dodgy at the beginning, didn't they?
Yes.
I thought that was a brave decision, to go from the kind of nice, preppy young man of Peter, who was not exactly anodyne, but he was not offensive, to a Doctor Who, who for the first few episodes was carried around by his 37 companions. I know he had a lot anyway, a lot of companions, because he was made feeble by the... And I think John decided that was not the way to go. It was much better to have a dynamic start, so the new Doctor would emerge and be kind of aggressive and unpleasant, and think what you've just gone through. Every cell in your body's changed. Well, except one bit, but that was changed with the recent Doctor, so that's all right. One time they changed that bit, I thought. So they, decided to make him have the beginning he did. But it was the last episode of Peter's season, which is odd. They had the regeneration, and then I did the first story, in which I wasn't very nice. And then they had they had several months of thinking about this awful new Doctor. So it wasn't the easiest start for me, as a performer, to know that people didn't like me. They didn't like the Doctor. And you've got to eventually like the Doctor. The other analogy I always draw is, who's the most interesting character in Pride and Prejudice? The guy you hated at the beginning, Darcy.
Yeah.
You all hate Darcy, but at the end, he turns out to be the only truly moral, decent person in it. And I think that's interesting, to show character development. And Big Finish has enabled Old Sixie, as I call him, to continue that journey. And I'm very pleased with what I've now been able to show my Doctor could and has done.
They've given you a new lease of life with your Doctor. How have you found recording stories remotely in Baker Towers? Have you missed being
in Baker Towers? Well, we always used to record at the Moat Studio, which is run by a lovely ex-rocker called Toby. And Toby, it's not just his lunches, because he did brilliant lunches, but there was a thing about recording at Moat with Toby, and like a family. Now, it hasn't reopened since that studio, so now they do it in multi-studio complexes. And I can do it at home. I've got a setup now with, broadcast quality microphone and the internet. My internet was upgraded a year ago, so it's suddenly faster. And I can sit at home with my little studio and be Old Sixie. And we sometimes have a little in-vision link-up before we start to meet the other actors.
Yeah.
And for the moment, I'm very happy doing that, because Big Finish is all about the sound, the words. So in a sense, my liking looking at another actor when I'm doing it is almost irrelevant, because you're reacting to what you're hearing only. And I think the result has been very good, because they recorded at one end, and I recorded at my end, and between the two recordings they've got. Yeah.
Now, with that, you've ventured into the new series, because you've done one now with David Tennant against the Weeping Angels.
Have I?
Or you're about to.
What have I done one with David Tennant? When we're talking to each other?
No, for a Big Finish.
Are we talking to each other?
Yes.
I've done some which I think David Tennant might be in as well.
Okay. Maybe we're not.
I've never actually done a scene with David Tennant. No, I'd love to, because he is one of the nicest people in this business I've ever met. David Tennant is, as well as being a very successful and busy actor, and a very good one too. It's easier to hate an actor who gets a lot of work if they're not always good. But he's always good. Not only that, he's pleasant and nice and kind. I've seen him being kind to people. He's such a nice man. And interestingly, his wife, Peter Davison's daughter, and my oldest daughter were at school together.
Yeah, she was saying this earlier.
Yeah, when they were 5 and 6. And if you told me that she was going to marry, well, why can't my daughter marry a doctor? What's wrong with Matt Smith? Sent him the address. No, someone else now.
You've recently been appearing on our screens in the form of a special feature on Sylvester McCoy's first series.
Oh, yes.
How do you find watching his stories for the first time?
It was for the first time as well.
Yeah.
Because I deliberately decided when I left the show that I wouldn't watch Sylvester because it would hurt a bit, probably. Because if he was very good, I'd be pissed off. And if he was very bad, I'd be pissed off. Because they cast him instead of me. So I decided not to be pissed off by not watching. And so I never had. I'd seen clips. So I sat there and watching. He's very good, actually. He's quite different to me. And if you only stop making that joke about getting lost in my costume for 3 weeks, I'd like him even more. But Sylv and I get on very well, so that's not a problem. We always did. But I'd just never seen any of his Doctor. And to sit and watch it while being paid to do so. Was I with
your partner in crime,
Michael Jason. Michael Jason. He's one of the loveliest, naughtiest men I've ever worked with. I was talking to him 2 days ago on the phone. He's not only he's such an underrated actor. Michael Jason should have been Sir Michael Jason by now.
He's brilliant.
The stuff he's done, he's just brilliant. And such a nice man. So we sat there trying hard not to be rude. It's so easy when you're sitting watching somebody else. It's a bit like Gogglebox. If you watch Gogglebox, the real people, say what they think, because they're never going to meet any of them. But when you see the professional actors watching, they're all being so careful. What they really want to say, God, he's awful. But they might be working with them next week, so they can't. It's quite funny.
Did you binge them all in one day? All done in one sitting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a long haul. Not enough sitting at a convention with Sylvester all day, playing with spoons on people's heads. But to actually watch him acting for a whole day, no, it was fine.
With streaming services now, Classic Who's more accessible to newer and younger audience, how does it make you feel when you've got different generations coming up to you and saying, you're their Doctor?
Yeah, it's rather nice. They don't always say that.
Sure.
I'm going to tell you 2 stories now. My favourite ever was a young man who came up to me and said, he was very nervous and a bit stuttery. He said, Mr. Bacon, you are my 7th favourite Doctor. And I was demoted 2 places while he was talking. Fortunately, it appealed to my sense of humour, because I'm aware that out there, if we must have lists, and some people like listing all of us from 1 to 17, don't know where we're up to now, but, and, I know I'm languishing somewhere. But for another person, I'm their number 1, it does happen. So it's, it evens out over the millennia. But I love those comments. It's so disingenuous that they don't realise that another person could find it upsetting. And I find it entertaining, so it's not a problem.
Well, you continue to...
You might be up there right now. The person who said to me today, you're in my top 5. Which is okay. But that probably means I'm 5th. If I wasn't, you'd say top 4 or 3rd. But I'm not offended, I promise. It's nice to be in a list of any kind.
Now, last year you joined all the doctors in paying tribute to our fantastic NHS health workers.
Yes.
As part of the BBC's Big Night In. How did you get involved with that? Were you just contacted to do video?
I don't remember doing it. I'm sure I did. If I'm asked to do things like that, I do them. And obviously you do it because it's an important thing to do. What did I say? No. But anyway, if I did
nice
it,
words.
was it in Vision?
Yes.
When did I do it? I'm sorry, one of the things that happens
It's been a long year.
when you reach a certain age is that certain information gets jumbled up with everything. I genuinely don't remember doing it. I'm glad I did. What a decent chap I am.
Good.
I'm glad I did it before I spent 8 hours waiting to see a doctor in outpatients in the middle of the night recently. Anyway, moving on.
Time is rolling by really fast. I'm going to ask you some questions if we have any. We have time for a couple. You, sir.
Colin, you hear stories of actors going to do directing. Is that something that ever appealed to you?
The question is that you hear the stories of actors going on to direct. Has that ever appealed to me? It's appealed in one way but not in another. I have worked for many, many directors, and I would say that a handful are brilliant. Quite a lot are good, and some are not. And I think I would probably one of those directors that is not a good director, who gets everyone to play it the way they would play it if they were playing the part. By saying, no, say it like this, not like that. I don't think I have it in me to be a director. I have directed in the theatre a couple of times and enjoyed that. I would rather write a story than direct it, I think. It is a particular talent, directing. It's about, and this is what the best directors do, bringing out the best from that particular person, from their armoury of talent and tricks and whatever, getting them and the script to meet in the best way. It's not about getting them to do it the way you'd do it if you were doing it. And I might be prone to doing that. Whenever I'm doing a big finish, I listen to other actors thinking, I wouldn't do it like that. That's wrong. And that's wrong of me.
Yes, you.
So, what was your opinion on what was your thoughts on the cancelled season of Doctor Who that never made it that you were meant to be in? Because that often shortens how long you were actually the Doctor.
Deaf actor asks for repeat.
How do you feel about your lost season of Doctor Who?
The lost season.
The Big Finish made it, didn't they?
Yeah,
Cancelled.
all those lost season ones, plus some that were only slightly mislaid, have been done by Big Finish. At the time, I'd even seen the script for The Nightmare Fair, which was the beginning of the season that was cancelled by Michael Grade when he came to the BBC. And I was really disappointed because I wanted to be in Blackpool with the Celestial Toymaker, because it was a very good script. So I was quite sad about that. And there was one that was with the Autons, which was going to be filmed in Hong Kong, I think. And interestingly, the person in charge of the facilities being offered in Hong Kong by the Minister of Culture or whatever was called Doctor Who. Doctor Who. So I was looking forward to meeting Doctor Who. But that never happened either. But we've done them all since, including, as you all now know, the one that was written by Russell T Davies when he was nobbut a lad in Manchester for Bonnie and myself, which we recorded 2 weeks ago, which was a joy. And it was very, you can see, if you're familiar with Russell T Davies's work, and I think he's extraordinarily talented, You can see in the teenage boy the man that is now writing what he's writing. Because it was about people. It was about effects on people in extraordinary circumstances and how they deal with it. And he wrote it brilliantly. I know that it was edited a little, but I'm sure you're going to love it when you hear it.
He's the god of writing.
Yeah.
He just cracks
And
characters.
he's such a generous man.
He's lovely.
I was doing a play in Cardiff when they were filming round the corner, I didn't know. And someone sent a message saying, when you finished the play, when the curtain comes down, come and see us on set. And I said, oh, I don't want to annoy you. No, please do it. They sent someone round. They brought me onto set. They stopped filming. Russell shouted out to everybody, the doctor is here. David Tennant, who I never met, ran across and was lovely. Kylie Minogue came over and said, hello, I'm Kylie. I said, hello. She was lovely. And he said, spend the night with us. And I said, the whole night, standing between him and the director, he was chatting, he was friendly. And I'd always thought that New Who was a little bit dismissive of classic Who, old Who. But far from it. Russell was either a very good actor pretending to be a fan, or he was a genuine fan. And it was very heartening for old Sixie to suddenly feel validated then, and it was a wonderful night. He's a nice man.
That's a wonderful story. I'm really sorry, but that's all we've got time for.
No, we've got time for lots more.
We can go back and do it again.
Have another TARDIS. Well, at least it leaves more stories for other occasions, doesn't it?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And a great thanks to the man, the myth, the doctor.
Thank you, everybody. You've been very generous and very warm.
And Ashley Gregory as well, ladies and gentlemen. As if I don't see you before you go, because we're going to do the raffle. And feel free to stay on the stage for the raffle for us, but you have to carry on.
Let me draw one number out of
You
these.
certainly will.
What's the best prize?
Well, right, now, we're going to start. No.
No.